Caucasians. Huxley, he said that no rational man believes that the average Negro is equal to the white man. Osborne, he said the intelligence of an adult Negro is similar to that of an 11-year-old youth of the species Homo sapiens. So they felt that the white man, that the Negro was somewhere between the ape and the white man. I was in Uganda for 17 days this year, and they have it just a little reversed. They have that the chimpanzee evolved into the black man. And then by mutation, some of us became albinos, and that was the history of the white race. But you can see that's the type of theory. But what it's led to is a lot of practices that definitely was a hindrance to people and Christianity and so forth. I'm hoping this will.
I have a dream. My four little children one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
I like that. Amen. Okay, now, in addition to racism, then, of course, that led to slavery. And men were sold as animals and then treated as animals. And that certainly is a black mark on the history of the United States. Communism. Karl Marx wished to dedicate his book, Das Kapital, to Darwin. And communists often referred to Darwinian ideas in their idea of the struggles for classes. And, of course, after Marx came Stalin, and Stalin purged literally millions of people that opposed his ideas. These are I would tell you, are the fruit or the false benefits of evolution. And then there's Nazism. Hitler used the word, I can't pronounce it probably, Entwicklung, which means evolution. He used this often in his books and his speeches. And his book, which is titled Mein Kampf, really means my struggle, and is felt that he got that from Darwin's ideas of the survival of the fittest and the struggle for the fittest. And evolutionary ideas are the basis of the worst of Hitler's writings and his speeches. Again, we're talking about the devastating effects of evolution. Suicide. I have a picture of Dr. Michael Girard. I happen to have the opportunity to hear him one time. He left a lucrative medical practice in New Orleans in order to travel on this creation versus evolution issue. But the major reason he did this is because he encountered a number of his patients, young people, who committed suicide. Most young people today can't answer the basic questions that we can answer. Like, where did I come from? Aren't you glad you know where you came from? Amen. Why am I here? Or where am I going? They can't answer that. And it engenders a hopelessness among youth. And I understand it's the second leading cause of death among teenagers is suicide. And one young man came to him and told him that he was made in the image of a Big Bang, which was made. First of all, he was made in the image of an ape, which was made in the image of bacteria, which was made in the image of a Big Bang, which was made in the image of nothing. He said he came from nowhere. This is quoting the young man. He came from nowhere. He was nothing. He was going no place. He saw no reason to live. Then he asked Dr. Girard a question. He says, do you know what you do with an empty can of Vienna sausage? And he answered the question to the doctor himself. He says, you throw it away. And he left his office and committed suicide. The hopelessness. This is one of the great, horrible, devastating effects of evolution, is this hopelessness. Realize, thinking you're just a product of time and chance with no purpose whatsoever. You're just a process of an evolutionary time and chance thing. Suicide. Okay, abortion. Abortion is certainly an effect of evolution, and one of the reasons for that was the teaching of a fellow by the name of Dr. Haeckel, who believed and taught that the human embryo repeats briefly the evolutionary process in the human womb. In other words, when you're first conceived, you're a cell, and then you become a worm, and then a fish, and then a reptile, and then an animal, and then man. This is the idea was taught. And it's, although it's been denied, DNA, true science denies this as a lie, it's still propagated and told to young women who come to abortion clinics, well, you know, that's just a fish inside. There's nothing wrong with killing a fish. Or that's just a worm inside. Nothing wrong with killing a worm. So if the fetus isn't really human, then what great harm should be done? But true science shows this theory of evolution is a lie. I have a picture here on the left of a sonogram of my granddaughter. I'm always throwing in pictures of my granddaughter. Okay. But if you, I don't know if you can see that on the screen very well or not there, but if you look at this sonogram, now this is of course before she was born, and look at her picture when she was born, you see she was a human there. She wasn't a fish. She wasn't a mammal. And earlier ones show that. So modern science shows that this evolutionary theory is a lie. Absolute lie. And then we've talked about this. Evolution has everybody just product of time and chance, and everybody does as they please, and the survival of the fittest, and it has resulted in gross immorality, and thank God for the strong preaching we've heard against that in this conference. But of all the devastating effects of evolution, I think the worst is the destruction of faith. You know, when the Lord prayed for Peter, he said, I have prayed for you that your faith fail not. There are a lot of horrible failures in life. A moral failure is a horrible thing. A financial failure is a horrible thing. School failure is a horrible thing, but they're not near as bad as the faith failure. The destruction of faith. And probably, as I mentioned earlier, probably more people have lost their faith over the teaching of evolution than any other doctrine. If they could destroy your faith in the Genesis record, then they'll destroy your faith in every part of the Bible, and then you'll lose your faith in everything. Now, these statistics vary. I've read this. I read where one statistician claims that of the evangelical Christians who go to secular colleges and universities, that half to two-thirds will lose their faith. I just heard I think it was 2 days ago, somebody said they had read where it was 80%. The IBC Perspective said it was a little bit lower, but whatever the percentage is, it's a lot of people who are losing their faith over it. So this is the effects of evolution. Okay, let's talk about men of history. Can a Christian, a real Christian, be a scientist? Well, Julian Huxley, an evolutionist, says no serious scientist would deny the fact that evolution would occur. I want to challenge that. For example, I'm going to give you some scientists of history who are well known. Kepler, now maybe you haven't heard his name, but he is considered the father of physical astronomy. He discovered the laws of planetary motion, which is what our satellites, communication satellites and other satellites are following. But the thing that a lot of people, that the media certainly doesn't declare, was that he really sought to bring his children up in a Christian environment. And his first major book closed with a magnificent hymn of praise to his Creator. He also wrote many Bible study guides. I taught chemistry for a number of years, and I think anybody who's taught chemistry has certainly heard of Robert Boyle. He's considered the father of modern chemistry. He was the first one to define the elements and compounds in terms of experimental observations. I believe he was the discoverer of phosphorus. But what he's best known for is what's called Boyle's Law, the study of gases under pressure. If you increase the pressure, you decrease the volume. If you decrease the pressure, you increase the volume. A very fundamental study in gases. But what a lot of people don't realize is that he had read his Bible every day. He showed that science and religion both studied God's creation. And the man supported missionary endeavors and translations in the Bible. I can't remember how many various translations he financed. And in his will, he provided funds for what we call the Boyle Lectures, which were to show that the fact that Christianity is intellectually defensible. Probably the greatest scientist that ever lived, people would declare, is Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton discovered the laws of universal gravitation.